here we go. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we're going to look at the prompt. Notice that we don't have any text with it, right? So we're only working on the prompt, and we're kind of looking at inferring things, like where you have to kind of take some context clues. All right. So tell me if I go off the screen with this. All right. At 8:30 p.m. on September 11th, 2001, President George W. Bush delivered an address to the nation regarding that morning's attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the hijacked airplane that crashed in rural Pennsylvania. Read the passage carefully. Write an essay that analyzes the rhetorical choices Bush makes to convey his purpose of reaffirming the country's strength. All right, so let's look at, and you can have out your Airbnb stuffs, because like what I'm doing is, remember all these things that you have when we have a test and we have to like do these skills, then this, you get to have all this stuff out and use all these things as an example on your final test, okay? So let's look at author and speaker first. Who's our author or speaker? Okay, President George Bush, George W., and does anybody know why they use his middle initial? Yeah, because his father too. Okay, so look at the questions that we have to look at. Do you know anything about Bush? Y'all probably haven't gotten, I mean, I don't know where y'all start in American history.
We're in World War I.
Yeah. Okay. And then APUSH is where?
APUSH is in the War of 1812.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a little before y'all's time. So do you know anything about President Bush?
No.
That's fine. So we do know what? We just said that.
9/11.
That what?
9/11.
Well, no, but you said like why we use his middle initial because.
His father.
Okay, so we know that. So a couple of things that we know that his father was president. And remember, all the things that we use here and that we start to write are going to be things that help us to analyze evidence. All right. Texas history, anybody?
He's from Texas.
Yes. What did he do for Texas?
Some form of government.
Something what?
Was it some form of government?
It was some form of government before he was president. Anybody know?
He did government.
Yeah, like, but what part? Like for the state?
The Senate.
Governor. Yeah. So he was a governor. All right, so where you looked at like kind of what experiences does he have? So because his father was president, not that his father would share like, oh, here are all the things that happened during my administration, but I would say experience-wise, he probably understands like the political world, right? His brother was also, or is also a governor. So I would say that he understands political world. Okay?
Maybe he knows a little bit about war, because I'm pretty sure his dad was in that.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's not like the president's going to tell his kids, hey, this is the decision I had to make today, and this is who we decided to kill. But yeah, I mean, he would have some understanding of war. Okay.
War, Afghanistan.
This created that. So he understands a little bit of war from his father, right? Okay. So sometimes we don't know much about the person, but I want to look at the idea of like what role they hold. So if you don't know much about the person, but we know he is a president, what responsibilities does a president have?
Bring the country together.
Okay. So again, sometimes we don't know who's speaking, but we do know like if they have a role of like a Secretary of State, Prime Minister, we can kind of garner some of those ideas, right? Do you mean turn off lights? Is there a glare? All right. What else do we know about the role of a president? What else are they concerned with? Like, what else do they have to do? So they not only have to bring the country together, what else?
War, prevent war.
Okay, so they what about war?
Deal with conflicts.
Oh, okay. Deal with conflict. That would be good under like the idea of war. Like at home, right? And internationally. What would we say if we're looking at this? What is a president's number one concern for the country?
To benefit the people.
Okay. I also want to think, like, especially when we're talking like 9/11.
The safety.
Yeah. All right. That works for me. Whenever we do stuff like this too, like on our test, I'll have like all those questions written down for you so it can kind of help guide you as we go through. All right, look at audience. Remember, we always take the audience to the third power. So I don't want it to just be Americans. I don't want it to just be, it's never the viewer or the reader, right? Everybody. So this is televised. So now talk to me about who do you think is the audience, and we'll look at making it more descriptive.
The American people.
Okay? So that's still broad, so give me a descriptor of those Americans.
Citizens and like directly affected by it.
Not necessarily, like I want even more specific.
People that are directly affected by it.
Okay, so that would be like families, relatives, or anybody like Americans directly affected. Okay, so now think about like all of these Americans, right? We've gone through it. Like I can still tell you where I was that morning, right? Like I was teaching in a classroom in Keller, and we watched it like it. We had a little bitty TV up in the corner, and like we were told to turn our TVs on, and then we were immediately told to turn our TVs off. So as you're watching that, and that night, Americans have all gone through this. So let's attach like a feeling or an emotion to the Americans that are watching.
Scared.
Okay, so I'm gonna put scared Americans. Can we give another like descriptor or two of the Americans? Grieving, yep. Okay, what else? What else? Let's go to one more American.
Angry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So here's where I find value in identifying multiple audiences, because when y'all write and you find a quote, right? Literature or whatever, do you find it hard to write what people have usually told you, like 2 sentences of analysis or whatever, right? Most of the time, do you end up analyzing that quote or just telling me what it means?
Telling you what it means.
Yeah. And so when your first sentence is like that, then your second sentence also becomes just the same thing over again, right? So when we now choose a piece of evidence for this, can we say a piece of evidence would be taken differently by a scared American as opposed to an angry American?
Yeah.
So now that we're more descriptive in our audience, now you're allowing yourself more analysis rather than just summary. Okay, so those are all, let's look at Americans. Can we look at who else would be watching?
Military.
The military, okay, so military leaders. Let's go out of our country.
Terrorists.
Yeah, terrorist works, And I know I said that like we should have a descriptor. I don't really think we need to say like terrible terrorists. Like I think the terrorists is good.
U.S. allies.
Yeah. So I would say U.S. allies, and when we have, I mean, we have terrorists, but when we have U.S. allies, we also have the opposite of that, which is enemies. Yeah. Okay, that works for me. So we talked a little bit about obstacles and leverage, right? So when we talk about obstacles, we don't ever want to say like they're scared to talk in public. I mean, if we're in the positions that they're in, like they've moved beyond that, right? So let's talk about one thing I want to look at, an obstacle. If presidents are elected, every 4 years, right? When was our last election? 2024. So we go back every 4 years, right? And then, so when was he elected to office? 2000, November 2000. When he actually takes office is when? Okay, January 2001. How far is he into his presidency? Yeah, like 8 months, 9 months. So one of the obstacles that he has to overcome is that he's a new president. 8 months into term. And like sometimes you don't know whether they served 1 term or 2. That doesn't really matter unless they tell you like in the prompt. But for here, we'll just say it's his first term. So because he's a new president, what other obstacles does that create for him?
People who didn't vote for him saying that this is what happened.
Okay, so people who didn't vote for him, like question his ability, right? Okay. Think about, so that morning was when the events, I can't remember if it was like 8:30 or 9, somewhere around there.
It was like 8 of something.
Yeah, it was like real early.
The first one did.
Yeah, because I started at 7:30 then too. So he's giving this at 8:30 at night. So what other obstacles does he have to overcome with, like, when he's giving this address? Like with the American people, what obstacle does he do? What? Okay, so an obstacle could be like limited information.
Time.
What do you mean?
Like, things that just happened that day, and the day is like going by, so people are like waiting for some sort of comfort.
Okay, so public. And when I talk about like the idea of Bush giving this address, obviously like everybody's really emotional, right? And we are all waiting. We've seen all day is like images, and we've seen people walking across the Brooklyn Bridge to get out of downtown or to get out of the city. So when the president finally comes on, as a citizen, what do I need to see from him? Confidence, right? So I feel like he needs to balance the idea of balance confidence. What else do you think that he's feeling?
Like, he's been calm.
Yep, okay, so balance confidence with calm. Now, if you have confidence and calm all together, what may you appear to be to the public as well?
Like you don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a president,
Prepared,
I mean, we might see that.
Disinterested.
Yeah.
upset.
The idea of being like confident and calm is like, yeah, this happened.
Relaxed about it.
Yeah. What do the terrorists want to see when he comes into address? Emotional, weak, right? So when he comes in front of the public, he's got to balance. I'm sure obviously we identified an audience of being angry. I'm sure he is that too, right? He is all those feelings, right? So if he comes on and is angry and like showing that anger and like being aggressive, how is that going to appear to our allies and to the enemies?
They've won.
That they've won. So he has to balance that idea of being angry with being confident and calm, right? So I would say not fully angry. All right, so those are obstacles that he has to overcome, right? So these are like adversities or things in his path that he's got to do all these things and overcome these things in order for the audience to hear his message, right? So leverage.
He's a president.
Okay. Do y'all understand what leverage means?
Having an advantage.
Yeah, having something in your pocket that you're gonna be like, I have this card I can still play. So because he's president, tell me what he's gonna leverage about him being president.
Well, he's a wider audience.
Okay, why?
People look up to him.
People trust him.
Okay, so he can use his like idea that he is a president because people trust him. People are looking for leadership. Okay.
He has a military that not necessarily runs, but
You know, I mean, like, we're seen as a world power because of our military, right?
Sure.
definitely strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, handwriting sucks. All right. I know we said that he doesn't have like limited data or information. If it's
more information than
yeah. So he has more information than the morning, but he also has more information than who?
the average citizen.
Yeah. Okay. So notice you're thinking all these things and you haven't even read the passage yet, right? All these things are going to be things that help you to get to analysis away from summary. Let's go to context real quick. And y'all probably don't know much about 2001, right?
Well,
They didn't really have like good security.
No. What they have?
and horrible security.
Yeah.
Yeah, airport security
airport
was
security
bad.
was terrible.
We didn't have any. Yeah. So there was no like TSA. I like every time I say this, people are like, wait, what? Like there was no, like 9/11 created TSA, created security checkpoints. Before we just walked willy-nilly through the airport. Grandma could walk us to the gate. People could be smoking in the airport. You could take whatever you wanted on a plane, right? So all those things didn't happen until this, right? Technology, 2000. What do you think technology was like? Yeah, it's,
Lots of biz.
yeah. So less advanced technology. And we want to look at that. So some things in context are valuable, but like if I'm talking about the Civil War and we have a prompt on the Civil War, is less advanced technology relevant? No, because there's none, right? Like there's none based on like what we have. I would say like social media at this point is kind of just barely, I mean, don't laugh, but like we had MySpace. Don't laugh at us. We thought it was really cool. And AOL chat, we thought it was really cool. Okay, so, all right. Let's talk about country-wise. So in the country, we have like a strong economic, what am I saying? What's the word?
Base.
What?
Strong economic base.
Yep, like it.
Foundation.
Yep. Really? I mean, like, our economy is good. Like, we're probably in some kind of war because America's always in some kind of war. But I think that's good for there. Okay, what's hard about exigence, and this is the part that we're really looking at, right? Well, first of all, why does the author or speaker talk about this topic?
Does he ask that?
Yeah, like as president, it's his duty.
He wants to make sure that everyone knows that they're safe.
Okay, so he has to reassure their safety. Now, what I like is that, I mean, I created the prompt, but there are little like golden nuggets sometimes in prompts that we don't want you to look over. So I think one thing in this prompt is the idea of specifically saying that he addressed the country at 8:30 p.m. So if we look at exigence as being like, why this person at this time with this message. So we already know like why the message and why this person. What's valuable about that time?
Most people are out.
Most people are home. Like for us, like as soon as the buildings hit, like I was teaching and parents were calling kids out of school. I was coaching at the time. We canceled like all games for multiple days. Like everybody from offices were told to go home. Everything was canceled, right? Public transportation, flights, everything was canceled. So everybody's just sitting at home waiting, right? But go back to what we said over here. Why 8:30? Why not at 10:30? Why not at noon? Why 8:30? Well, everybody's already home.
To get more facts.
Yeah, there's more facts between what he had before and earlier, right? So he had to wait. Yeah, to make sure he had more info.
Can you move the paper?
Oh, sorry. He had to make sure he had more info. I'm bad about that. But I also need to go back to the idea of, like, he needed to make sure that he had all the info, but he also had to make sure that the public was safe, right? Like, you don't want to come on TV at noon and go, everything's fine, we're good, like, we're safe, and then something else happened. So there were steps he had to take to make sure that everybody was safe. So that's why he had to wait for all the information and to really ensure that the public was safe. Good? Okay. We'll talk about this one tomorrow, and then I'm going to look at commercials tomorrow. So y'all will have a commercial assignment tomorrow. All right. Good job, y'all. Listen, was that hard? No. You're just thinking a little differently than normal, which I love.